Do you ever feel like a character in a book of an author with a cruel sense of irony? So there I was in college going through a horror movie phase. Dear internet, give me the best horror movies you got out there. And up pops this suggestion of Stephen King films. And as I'm watching this diverse array of stories, I go, wow, this Stephen King guy sure has a lot of creative content. Wait, he wrote The Shawshank Redemption? The Shining? It? What is all these other films I have already seen? Oh, he's supposed to be a famous and prolific author. Oh, so that's why people on writing forums are obsessively quoting On Writing. I always thought that was written by some random dude with an ego and well-worded common sense. And so here I am with a massive source of embarrassment staring at me in the face. I have never read a single piece of fiction by Stephen King. Not a book, not a short story, zilch. Thus, it is only natural I decide to write this cosmic blooper in my life. But since Stephen King is such a great and famous author, I need to do this right. As a base rule, I don't like to read books after I watch a movie. A lot of spoilers, general problem of clashing how you think the story should play out. It's just difficult for me to read a book whose story I already know in general as well. But my first Stephen King book still needs to be memorable and special. So there I was in the college library, Stephen King book sitting on this "Take me home, I'm free" table, and my eyes fall upon the book, Dreamcatcher, the one with this exact cover. Pictures of a forest and a little dreamcatcher on the front. And that was when I knew that this was the one. This was destiny. Because fun fact about me that you might not know, growing up I was obsessed with indigenous American mythology as much as a white kid with minimal access to it could be. On top of that, I have always been a laid-back fan of spiders. So clearly, I have a dreamcatcher of my own. I've been carrying it around for almost 20 years. Bought it at an Indian-themed summer camp when I was a kid. It's not a real one. Most commercial ones aren't, but it's always been an important part of my life in its own special way. It's lived everywhere I have ever called home. So you can imagine how excited I was for my first book of a legendary horror author to be about... Why the hell is it always aliens? Why? Anytime stuff related to indigenous mythology pops up, it's always aliens, isn't it? But even more than that, I just couldn't get invested into the story. To this day, I don't remember anything about the characters beyond one dude had a habit of chewing toothpicks and his mother said it would kill him someday. So I was about halfway through the book when I just couldn't do it anymore. And this was during the period of my life where even if I didn't like a book, I was determined to finish it. I have read a literal dictionary before. Trust me when I say I'm very stubborn. So painfully, I closed the book. I watched the movie instead, definitely enjoyed it a lot more. Though as someone on the autistic spectrum, the plot twist where the character with Down syndrome was a space alien all along was predictable. So I backed off, traumatized for a bit. Something I did learn was that Dreamcatcher actually is considered to be one of King's worst books. It was written when he was on pain meds. Even King himself doesn't like it that much. And as an author myself, when you're married to the trope of deceptive appearances, the fact that I judged a book by its cover, picked it up blindly trusting the name of an author so many people loved, and the fact that it got a feature film at all when so few books ever do, I should have known better. I decided to give King another chance, and my next chance came during a summer internship. The family I was staying at just so happened to have the book Carrie. Now this was a story I knew. It was Stephen King's first book, got rejected many times, and he hammered the letters again to his wall until at last it was accepted. Two movies have been made since. I've seen both of them. It's an iconic piece of work, and like Dreamcatcher, you can be stuck in the bathroom for a while. Thus, I began to read Carrie. And very, very quickly, I found myself reading something that finally struck me as having a little bit too much in common with the first draft of my own book, Bloodmark. A story told not from the point of view of the protagonist, but told from external sources. A protagonist from an abusive, hyper-religious family who is bullied by their schoolmates. A protagonist with superpowers who, well, in Dawson's case, he gets covered with the blood of a child, mentally snaps, and releases a shockwave that detonates every bomb on the planet, ultimately destroying all life as he knows. Definitely more extreme than what happens to Carrie, but the tropes are there. And I just couldn't live through that dumpster fire of memories. I'm sorry. I was making an exception for the case where I was reading a book whose story I knew already, but during this time period, I was also around 60 rejection letters from Carrie agents for The Liar, the first book in Bloodmark, already because you don't query X or a sci-fi. And I didn't even know what Extra was at the time. I was trying to describe it with what words other people could understand, so I kind of just hated everything. Everything that reminded me of that stupid story and all the years I've wasted trying to make it tolerable. Thus I stopped reading Another King story halfway through. But of course, I'm still a very stubborn person. I still want to read and enjoy something by King. It is very much bothering me that I haven't finished a single book by him yet. And as I said, I do tend to enjoy stories more if I don't already know them. So back to the recommendations forum. What is a book people recommend whose story I don't know that my local library in my pre-Kindle years had available for me to read? Lo and behold, I come across the library bookshelves to find the uncut version of The Stand. A thick and sexy softbacked, over 1,000 pages long. I'm very much not a zombie apocalypse kind of person, but it continues to rank the top, if not the #1 King book of all time, and I've read it's definitely worth reading, whether you're into zombies or not. Finally, I'm going to do it. I'm going to read the best of the best, and it will be beautiful. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting on the subway 1/3 of the way through when it finally strikes me, I haven't been reading this book at all. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who any of the characters are. I've been scanning words on a page in a trance as my mind flutters off elsewhere because I just couldn't engage in King's writing style at all. The problem isn't that I think he's a bad author, or that I just haven't found the right book, or that I don't read as much as I used to. I was reading Neil Gaiman, African folklore, and random nonfiction about economics around the same time with no issue. The problem was, he was apparently never an author I was going to like in the first place. So, from worst book to its first book, to now what was supposed to be a masterpiece. Summer of 2016, I put down a Stephen King book for the third and final time, and I haven't read a Stephen King book ever since. And that, folks, is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be making another video going over why I didn't know who Stephen King was for so long, and why exactly The Stand, as well as King's writing style, just didn't do it for me. So if you want to see that, click like and subscribe. Otherwise, until next time, or until never, stay uncomfortable.